Part 1. Understanding the real attraction. Pay close attention to what I'm about to tell you now, because this will change the way you understand women for the rest of your life. Most men spend years trying to impress, please, and conquer, yet remain alone and frustrated, not understanding where they went wrong. They think the problem lies in their appearance, their money, or their height. They're wrong. The issue is much deeper, and at the same time, much simpler than you might imagine. Women don't choose men based on logic. They choose by sensation, by instinct, something that happens in the body before it even reaches the mind. And this instinct responds to specific behavior patterns that most men completely ignore, or worse, do exactly the opposite. While you try to be friendly, she feels boredom. While you try to show interest, she feels suffocated. While you try to prove your worth, she has already decided you have none, not because you're a bad guy, but because you're communicating the wrong things in the wrong way at the wrong time. David Buss, one of the world's foremost researchers in evolutionary psychology, spent decades studying what women really desire in men. In his book, The Evolution of Desire, he analyzed over 10,000 people in 37 different cultures. Do you know what he discovered? That there are universal patterns of attraction. It doesn't matter if the woman is Brazilian, Japanese, American, or African. Women's brains have evolved to detect the same signals. These signals are competence, emotional stability, and the ability to protect, lead, and build something solid. These signals aren't about what you say, they are about what you transmit without even realizing it. And it's exactly this that this guide will reveal to you. 5 characteristics that seem crazy when you first hear them, but that every woman, without exception, responds to with desire. These aren't tricks. These aren't cheap manipulation techniques. They are behavior patterns that activate something primal in the female nervous system, something she doesn't control, doesn't rationalize, and often doesn't even understand but feels. And when she feels this coming from you, everything changes. The way she looks at you, the way she responds to your messages, the way she wants to be close to you. Stay with me until the end, because what I'm about to show you here isn't found in the generic advice you find elsewhere. This is science, this is reality, and this will give you an advantage that 90% of men will never have. Emotional presence, the key to magnetic attraction. Have you ever noticed how some women seem to lose interest out of nowhere? You're talking, everything seems to be flowing, and suddenly she becomes distant. Her responses become short, the enthusiasm fades, and you're left there, replaying every word you said, trying to figure out where you went wrong. The answer is almost always in a place you've never looked before. It wasn't what you said. It was what you demonstrated without even realizing it. Emotionally reactive men send a clear signal to the female brain. A signal of fragility, instability, of a man who can't handle pressure. This happens in the details you don't even register. How your mood shifts when she takes longer to respond. The need to explain yourself when she provokes you. The anxiety that shows when you feel like you're losing control of the conversation. Women catch this in milliseconds, not because they're calculating or manipulative, but because the female instinct has evolved to test the emotional solidity of men. She needs to know if you can handle pressure, if you'll crack easily, if you'll collapse in the face of real difficulty. A study conducted by the University of Zurich in 2019 revealed something that confirms this perfectly. Women associate low emotional reactivity in men with greater reliability as a long-term partner. In other words, the man who doesn't lose his composure, who doesn't react impulsively, who remains calm when everything around him presses in, this man activates something different in the female nervous system. It's not fear, it's security. And security, for a woman's instinct, is one of the most powerful aphrodisiacs that exist. Now, be careful not to confuse emotional presence with coldness. I'm not telling you to become a statue, to ignore your feelings, or to pretend that nothing affects you. That's a mask, and masks always fall off. What separates a magnetic man from an ordinary man is the ability to feel it all, the tension, the provocation, the uncertainty, and still choose how to respond. He processes it internally before reacting externally. He isn't controlled by emotions. He observes them, recognizes them, and decides what to do with them. This is mastery. This is maturity. And this is what makes a woman look at you and think, this guy is different. The simplest test you can make is to observe your own reaction when a woman provokes you, when she takes time to respond, or when she acts unpredictably. Does your chest tighten? Does your mind shoot off scenarios? Do you feel the urge to send another message, to justify yourself, to seek validation? If the answer is yes, you're handing over your power. You're showing her that your emotional state depends on her behavior. And the moment she realizes this, something inside of her shuts off. Not out of cruelty, but out of instinct. Emotional presence is built in the small day-to-day interactions, in the 3-second interval before you respond to any provocation, in the ability to hold silence when she expects you to become destabilized, in the conscious decision not to turn every conversation into an emotional roller coaster. This isn't something you fake. It's something you train until it becomes part of who you are. And when that happens, women feel it. They feel that you're a man who doesn't need her approval to remain whole. And paradoxically, that's exactly what makes her want to approve of you. Part 2. The unshakable purpose and genuine scarcity. Let me ask you a direct question. If a woman disappeared from your life today, what would remain? What would be the center of your existence tomorrow morning? If you hesitated to answer, you've just identified one of the biggest saboteurs of your attractiveness. Men without a clear purpose orbit around women like planets around the sun. They become the gravitational center of their life, and the moment that happens, something in the female instinct begins to reject them. It's not that she wants a cold or absent man. What she wants is a man who has something to wake up for every morning, something that isn't her, something that existed before she came along, and that will continue to exist regardless of what happens between the two of you. This is not selfishness, it's structure. It's the silent demonstration that you're a complete man, not one who is waiting to be completed. David Bass, in his research at the University of Texas, identified a pattern that repeats in almost all the cultures studied. Women consistently show a preference for men with ambition and direction in life. And this doesn't mean that you need to be a millionaire or have a prestigious career. It means you need to be building something, walking towards something, evolving. The stagnant man, even if he has money, even if he has good looks, transmits an energy of paralysis that the female instinct detects and rejects. Think about this from an evolutionary standpoint. A man with purpose signals the ability to generate resources, to protect, to build a solid future. The female brain doesn't analyze this consciously. She doesn't sit down to think about your career goals, but something inside her responds when she perceives that you're moving, that you're hungry, that you're not waiting for life to happen, but you're making it happen. This activates reward circuits in her nervous system. She wants to be part of that energy. She wants to be close to that. She wants to be chosen by someone who has options, not by someone who is desperate for any form of feminine validation. When a man lives for a woman, she feels suffocated, even though he may never say a word about it. She feels the weight of being the sole reason for his existence, the one reason he lives. And that responsibility, even though it's unconscious, creates rejection. But the man who has his own path, his own passion, his own construction, releases her from that weight. He doesn't depend on her to feel whole. And that is exactly what makes her want to be part of what he's building. If you're still with me, you may be thinking, but I don't have a clear purpose or passion. This is perfectly fine. Many men don't realize their purpose until later in life, but the key is to start moving. It's about gaining momentum in your life, having something you care deeply about, something that drives you forward. It could be a project, a hobby, an entrepreneurial venture, or even a mission to improve yourself. As long as you're working toward something meaningful, you will begin to radiate the energy of a man who is not waiting for life to complete him, but who is building something substantial. And that energy will draw women to you naturally. This is also where genuine scarcity comes into play. The concept of genuine scarcity is crucial in understanding attraction. Robert Cialdini, one of the world's leading researchers in influence and persuasion, demonstrated in his studies that what is perceived as scarce automatically becomes more valuable in the eyes of human beings. This applies to products, opportunities, and importantly, people. The man who is always available, who responds within seconds, who never seems to have anything more important to do than give her attention, communicates a dangerous message. He's telling her that he has no options, that his life is empty enough to place her as the ultimate priority, even before she deserves that place. And the female instinct translates this as low value. But be careful, genuine scarcity is not about playing games. It's not about purposefully delaying responses while you're sitting there anxiously watching your phone. That's cheap manipulation, and any moderately intelligent woman can perceive it. Genuine scarcity comes from having real commitments, having a life that functions independently of her, having friends, projects, training, goals, things that occupy your time because they're important to you. When your scarcity is real, you don't need to fake it. It simply exists, and she feels it. The second characteristic that adds to your magnetism is the mastery of eye contact. A study by the University of Aberdeen in 2011 showed that sustained eye contact significantly increases perceptions of attractiveness. But here's the detail that most people miss. It's not just about looking, it's how you look. The insecure man looks away when she returns his gaze. The man who is needy looks with an expression of wanting approval. The man who understands the dynamics of attraction looks with presence, calmness, and quiet confidence that says without words, "I don't need you, but I'm choosing to be here." This kind of gaze creates tension, and tension is the fuel of attraction. When you maintain eye contact without anxiety, without rushing to fill the silence, something in her nervous system responds. She feels that she's in front of someone different, someone who isn't intimidated, someone who can endure the intensity of the moment without breaking. This is rare, and what's rare sparks curiosity, interest, and a desire to explore more. Part 3. The leadership without permission and the final steps of transformation. The third characteristic that we need to explore is the ability to lead without asking for permission. A 2011 study conducted by the University of British Columbia found that women rate men with expressions of dominance and pride as more attractive than those with submissive, happy expressions. This might make some people uncomfortable, but science doesn't care about what makes us uncomfortable. Science reveals what is. Leadership doesn't mean being authoritarian or arrogant. It means making decisions, choosing the place for the meeting, instead of asking where she wants to go, driving the conversation instead of waiting for her to dictate the rhythm, taking responsibility for the moment instead of delegating every choice to her. Women test this all the time, even without realizing it. They throw the decision in your lap to see what you do with it. And when you accept that responsibility naturally, without hesitation, something inside of her relaxes. She feels that she can trust, that she's in good hands, and that you're capable of leading. These three characteristics, genuine scarcity, mastery of eye contact, and the ability to lead without asking permission, are not announced. They are lived. And when you start incorporating them into your daily behavior, women won't be able to explain why they are attracted to you. They'll simply feel it. and that's what matters. You see, attraction is not about tricks or manipulation. It's about embodying a set of behaviors that trigger something deep and unconscious in the woman. It's a primal response, one that's linked to her evolutionary instincts. Women are wired to respond to certain behaviors that signal strength, leadership, security, and emotional stability. The more you can live these behaviors authentically, the more magnetic you'll become. But the key is to live them genuinely, not just as a strategy to attract women. When you genuinely embody these characteristics, women will naturally be drawn to you. This attraction will be deeper, more meaningful, and more sustainable than any superficial tactics could ever create. Now, let's bring all of this together. All the steps, all the behaviors we've discussed point to one core truth. The most powerful form of attraction comes from being a complete man. One who is emotionally stable, who has a purpose in life, who understands the power of genuine scarcity, who is able to communicate through his presence, and who can lead without hesitation. These are not isolated techniques. They are expressions of a solid masculine identity. And this identity is built through consistent effort, not by looking for shortcuts or external validation. Carl Jung, one of the greatest psychologists in history, spoke about a process called individuation, the journey of becoming who you truly are, of integrating your shadows, your fears, and your weaknesses, rather than pretending they don't exist. Jung argued that the man who doesn't know his unconscious self projects his insecurities onto everything around him, in relationships, at work, in social interactions. And these projections sabotage everything. You repel exactly what you desire because you're operating from wounds that you've never confronted. This is the truth that most men avoid. It's easier to blame women, to say that they only want rich, handsome, famous men. It's more comfortable to believe the game is unfair than to admit that you haven't yet become the kind of man who awakens genuine desire. But while you remain in this victim mentality, nothing will change. You will keep making the same mistakes, hoping for different results, and becoming more and more frustrated. The man who decides to step out of this cycle accepts an uncomfortable responsibility. He stops waiting for the world to be fair and begins to work with reality as it is. He understands that attraction is not negotiable, that you cannot convince a woman to desire you, that desire is an involuntary response to who you are, not to what you try to appear to be. And with that clarity, he begins to build, brick by brick, day by day, until the change is so profound that it becomes irreversible. I know that a part of you wants to believe that there's an easier way, a secret formula that solves everything without effort. But that part of you will continue searching and continue being disappointed. But if there is another part of you, the part that is tired of mediocrity, the part that is ready to face the discomfort of real transformation, then the seduction code was made for you. Inside, it reveals an attraction mechanism that doesn't exist anywhere else on the internet. It's not theory, it's not generic advice. It's a system based on real behavioral psychology that teaches you how to activate specific triggers in the female mind. Triggers that make her feel desire for you almost automatically. Men who applied this method report changes in days, not months. The link is in the description or in the pinned comment. The decision is yours. Now, answer me something honestly. Of the 5 characteristics I showed you today, which one do you know you need to develop first? Don't think about the one that seems easiest. Think about the one that makes you the most uncomfortable, because that's where the most important work lies, and that's where your real transformation begins.